Hello, I'm James Toy, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs for KCRAR. You're about to watch one of our candidate interviews, an unfiltered, front row look at how those seeking office approach the issues that shape private property rights and the real estate industry as a whole. We share these conversations publicly so you can hear directly from the candidates, understand their positions in their words, and cast your vote with confidence.
First off, thank you all for being here today. This interview is being hosted by our RPAC trustees representing the Realtors Political Action Committee. We represent more than 13,000 realtors in the metro area and our surrounding communities. Today's discussion focuses on real estate related issues, including housing policy and economic development, because each real estate transaction generates roughly about $60,000 in local economic impact. When real estate is strong, the economy is strong, and these interviews help us understand which candidates share that perspective and support policies that strengthen our communities. So I want to welcome Jared Fears here today with us, who is a candidate for City Council for Independence. Also want to welcome David Rogers and Dan O'Neill, our RPAC trustees. So Jared, first off, if you could just maybe introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we've got a few questions we'd like to ask for you.
You bet, you bet. Well, Jared Fears, I worked for Community of Christ Church for a number of years, retired after 28 years there. In the process of being there, I became a certified financial planner. Before that, I worked for the City of Independence for about 7 years and got my master's in public administration there. During that time at the city, I had a chance to work with city council some and make presentations and things. And I just remember, and all through my career, I thought, when I get time, when I get done working at the church, I think I could do a good job as the city council person. So 4 years ago, I ran for that. Service is a important piece of my life, my family's life, as from a church perspective, from a scout perspective. So, giving back to the community is just kind of part of what we do and how we do it. So I ran 4 years ago, was elected, fortunate enough to get elected, and have been serving now on the city council for the last 4 years. Let's see. I'm married, have three kids and two grandkids. That's probably enough general information at this point.
All right. Gentlemen, I think we've got some questions to ask, and I guess we'll go to Dan first.
Yes. Jared, housing continues to be an important issue in Independence. What policies or approaches would you support to ensure that residents have access to affordable and diverse range of housing?
Okay, sure. Well, you're right. Housing is important. We did a housing study a couple of years ago that has, proven that we continue to need housing of all kinds, and affordable housing, it probably tops that list. And so, we have been, I think, relatively successful in doing um, uh, some programs that have, encouraged that in Independence, with tax abatement, some things of that nature. Certainly, passing the zoning that allows for that kind of housing, more dense housing, I think has been important. And so, I'm basically in favor of any efforts that we can make to improve housing and make more housing available for people in our community. We don't have as many tools as maybe we would like to really, and maybe I should say it this way: we don't have as much money as we would like to be able to sponsor programs or things. We have worked with Community Services League and Habitat for Humanity on a number of different things. We continue to work with them on community development block grant material or things for both organizations. And so, I'm supportive of essentially anything that we can do from a practical standpoint to encourage affordable housing and really any kind of housing, I think, in Independence. We need more of it on all levels. That's what our housing study said. And so I think we just have to find ways to encourage that as much as we can.
David?
Yes, sir. Jared, as you know, economic development plays a key role in strengthening any city's future. And what is your vision for attracting new employers, supporting existing businesses, and promoting long-term economic growth for the city of Independence?
Sure, sure. Well, I completely agree that economic development is critical. It's certainly critical for us in Independence. Our financial situation could be better. We need additional revenues, and in my view, the primary way that we get additional revenue is through economic development. Certainly out in the Little Blue Valley, where that was one of the first. In fact, that was, I think, the night that I got sworn in is when we passed the economic development incentives for the Eastgate project in the Little Blue Valley. And so, I've been continued to work with North Point on a number of different things, tried to encourage anything that I could that way. We've worked with like the Hub Shopping Center for TIF subsidies there. Same thing is true with Wally's now. We've worked out there. There's a number of different tools that we have available. And, I think we do have the responsibility to make sure that when we look at those TIF plans or other options that come before us, like the Chapter 100s and things of that nature, that when that comes to us, we have to weigh and balance what the benefits versus the lost revenue on things can be. But in general, I think the only way that we work ourselves out of some challenging financial situations is through economic development. You're probably familiar with the data center project that is being discussed right now. That is potentially a once in a lifetime scenario for Independence, I think, and the possibilities that come through that. So we're working pretty hard to work with Nebius to try to find ways to answer questions that the public has, but yet still be able to support that project. And I fully expect that is going to happen. So.
You actually jumped ahead of us a little bit by the
Uh-oh.
data center. So I'm going to go back to Dan because did you have any kind of follow-up to that? Because you were going to ask that question a little bit later.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right on. I think it's essential to the future of our community. It answers a lot of questions about funding for things that we can't afford to fund currently. So I think it's very important. And I'm absolutely certain that you support it with conditions, of course, that they have to meet certain conditions.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So let me frame it this way. Our general fund budget is about $85 million. 72% of that goes to public safety, which is a really high percentage compared to our other communities. But still, 85 million is, a substantial sum of money. But when we can look at the data center project and potentially get somewhere between 35 and 55 more million to the general fund, that will potentially allow us to do things in our community across the board that we haven't been able to do. And so um, we have to pay attention to, environmental issues, to concerns that citizens have. We have to and try to mitigate that, or just protect the city and the citizens for anything that might happen. We don't really think that there's much chance of that at this point, that there are going to be any negative ramifications of that based on what we know at this point. But we're continuing to evaluate all that. But in general, I'm very supportive of that project, and it really can be a game changer for Independence, I think.
Jared, before we move on from that question, because Dan has the next one, we have for context purposes, I'm from Wyandotte County, so we have a data center project that we're looking at. So we're looking at all the same types of concerns and issues and things like that that have been brought to you. This Wally's, I'm hearing a lot about Wally's, and so we have Buc-ee's coming.
Right.
So is this going to be some kind of rivalry across the state lines? We got Wally's, we got Buc-ee's. I mean, who has the cleanest bathrooms? Who has the best barbecue? I mean, I'm kind of looking to see how this all plays out.
It certainly could be. It certainly could be. When we had presentations by Wally's, that even their council said, this is not a Buc-ee's, this is a Wally's. I think, I think Wally's wants to be Buc-ee's when they grow up, is what I would say. But certainly there could be some important, challenges between the two counties to in the two areas to, test those theories about barbecue sauce or whatever else.
Well, I think we have our new I-70 showdown. So if
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So I'm
Both
gonna-
sides of the metro area, right?
Exactly. All right, I'm going to get back on track and we'll go to Dan with the next one.
As you're well aware with economic development, doing the infrastructure work for those type of things in advance is really important. Several years ago, the chamber and some city folks went to West Des Moines to check out their development. And what we found there, one of the things we found there that was really important was building the infrastructure in advance to attract different people. How important is preparing the infrastructure to you?
So I was with you on that trip to Des Moines, anything that, and from my perspective, anything that we as a city can do to help lay the groundwork for more development is what we ought to do. The challenge, of course, is to be able to afford that, and who pays for it. The city, years ago went to the additional effort to get the Little Blue Parkway, out there in the valley, and so that's been an important piece of the puzzle. The other thing, though, that I would mention is that with Independence Power and Light, since we own Independence Power and Light, one of the things that we have discussed, and we are looking at a charter change that would allow the Independence Power and Light to be governed by a public utility board instead of by the city council, to kind of take some of the politics out of that. But one of the pieces of that charter change would be to allow Independence Power and Light to be more involved in economic development kind of things. And so if we can get that to pass through the voters, we're probably going to put that on the ballot in August. And if we can get that to pass through the voters, I think that'll help with that infrastructure piece of the puzzle. That would be my hope, certainly, and it needs to be done that way. We haven't been able to use Independence Power and Light, in my view, to its full benefit because of the way the charter reads.
Thank you. We're going to go to David for the next two questions because the data center was in the middle of that. So David.
Yeah, Jared, as you know, community trust and effective leadership are essential for government to work, and mutual appreciation is important. as far as your experience over the last 4 years on the city council, what's basically your view of what it takes and what we need to be working on as far as uh, coming up with a way to be appreciated as a city council and to have good relations with the citizenry of the community.
Well, good question, and one that I really kind of have talked about a fair amount over a time from time to time, uh, relative to, I think to some degree or another, independence has had a bit of an inferiority complex, and that's not helpful. We need to, well, unfortunately, from a political environment in our country as a whole, it seems to be a very tumultuous time that nobody trusts government to do much of anything. Um, and certainly that's true on the federal level, and it just kind of trickles down, I think. I think it's certainly far less true on the local level. Uh, what I would tell you is that the current city council is working very well together and is able to, I mean, we don't always agree by any stretch. In fact, we sometimes we fight like cats and dogs, but we generally are able to work together towards a common goal and a common desire to improve our city. And I think that, what that's probably evidenced a little bit as I kind of walk door to door, because I've been doing some door knocking here in the campaign season. And as I've done that, I'm seeing far less resistance at the doors than I did 4 years ago. So I'm hopeful that we've turned the corner. There's no, I can confidently say that there's no level of corruption on the current city council. We haven't always been able to say that, I think, in Independence, unfortunately. But that's true at this time. And I think as we continue to work through that process and listen to the public, listen to our business owners and folks that are, invested in independence, then that will only help that process. And so in general, I think we're heading in the right direction. It takes a long time, I think, to turn that trust ship, around. So I think we're making progress. We just need more of it, more time to do it.
Uh, Follow up to that is I know you've been a longtime resident of Independence, and as I have, and we've seen a lot of things come and go and changes, and when we talk about issues, a lot of times we tend to dwell on the negative things that
Right.
need to happen. What are some positive things that you see in the community of Independence that maybe we can build on to go forward and move forward and have an impact?
Sure. Well, so certainly, what we're doing relative to the Little Blue Valley is positive. What we've done up around the square is positive, even though I've heard, complaints about people don't like to parallel park. But beyond that, I think the square, the investment up there has been good. We also are in a place where we are um, putting a number of new leaders in place in Independence, which I think creates a lot of opportunity. We just hired, or the chamber just hired a new president this last year, and that I think is going well. We will be hiring a new city manager hopefully in the next couple of months. And that will hopefully, give some opportunity. The school district is hiring a new superintendent. All of those kind of things, fresh ideas, and then the new city manager will also hire a new police chief. We've kind of said that that we need to let that person, do that and not have an interim city manager hire the new police chief. So all of those kind of things I think do help in that process. Um, it's just it takes time and energy to do those kind of things. So I think there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of good things that are happening in Independence. It's again, it takes some time to turn the ship of trust and of pride of your city, and so I think we're we're working on that at least. So.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm going to kind of close this out today, Jared. So realtors are in people's homes every day. We play a major role in our communities. We work closely with the residents, property owners, local businesses. We're kind of everywhere. Why should the realtors support your candidacy for city council?
Well, I think I have proven a very definite interest in moving independence forward in a number of different ways, and especially in economic development and in from a financial standpoint. The other thing I probably would mention is that I led the city's charge to look at the rental ready program. Rental ready is, a program where for the rental property, and we have a lot of rental property in Independence where we go out it was every 2 years to look at that property and have it inspected. Now we're expanding that to every 4 years and trying to basically what I did is I went to a number of landlords and listened to what their concerns were, what the issues that they were experiencing, and tried to address those with the changes that we made to the rental ready program in an effort to make it easier on landlords, but also keep things safe and try to improve our housing quality stock in Independence. And so those are just some examples of things that I've done. But all in all, I think I'm certainly that nothing that you all have talked about this morning is in conflict with the goals that I have for independence. In fact, it's all exactly down the lines of the things that are really important to me to make a different, positive difference in independence. And so I would, encourage your support. I would ask for your support. I think it's important for us to be, to work together with lots of different organizations, but certainly, like you say, the realtors are in lots of places with lots of people, and so any help or support that you could give would be very much appreciated, because I think we're very much in alignment.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to meet with us.
Yes, thank you.
You bet.
These interviews are very important to us in helping our RPAC trustees make informed decisions about supporting candidates whose priorities align with our mission, which is to advance housing and economic development. They're key drivers of strong, successful communities. So we appreciate your willingness to share your perspectives with us today and with the trustees. And once they meet, one of us will reach back out to you. So again, thank you for your time and your engagement with us today. We really appreciate it.
You bet. I appreciate your time and effort as well. And I really do hope that I could get your endorsement. I think that would be very helpful in terms of the big picture of things. And so I'll look forward to hearing back from you.
All right. Thank you very
Good to
much.
see you, Jared.
See you guys. Take care.
Have a good day.